OCO, freethinkers. You're now tuned into the realest historian on the planet, the best teacher you wished you had in school. Have your pens and paper handy and get ready to take notes. It's Dane Calloway on I'm Just Here to Make You Think Radio.
All right, so a growing number of Black Americans relying on newly digitized federal records and other sources are discovering direct bloodlines to Native American ancestors.
It's hard.
Now, you know they're gonna use the term Native American. They're gonna call that being politically correct. These discoveries are inspiring individuals to trace and claim their Native American ancestry, leading some to apply for citizenship with tribal nations. When Daniel Bruce Kelly, 32, an actor and minister, began researching his genealogy, he was sure that he would identify a place in Africa where his family came from. He was sure that he would identify a place in Africa where his family came from. I'm just so, I ain't gonna lie, I'm just so thankful that this is happening. I'm thankful people are writing about it now, and I'm so thankful this is happening. So the Hunter Beach man, who identifies as African American, said he was determined to prove his parents wrong. His mom and dad had begun discovering, exploring, and embracing their European and indigenous American ancestry. In his research, I'm coming down here. In his research, Kelly discovered that his great grandfather was registered as a Cherokee on the Dawes Rolls. And the U.S. government record listed individuals eligible for indigenous tribal membership. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's bloodline right there. Okay, so Kelly also identified other family members listed as Indian on the U.S. Census records. Right here. Quote, "At first I was offended that my parents didn't want to claim to be African." Wait a minute. Listen, y'all. At first I was offended that my parents didn't want to claim to be African. That was his parents, right? Remember, he's 32. But then I had this awakening. You can't talk about Native American history without talking about the Black American Indians, Kelly said. Listen, similarly, Cameron Lewis, 48, a truck driver from Sacramento. Oh, yo. Shout out to the truck drivers. Says he always heard family members talk about having Indian in the family. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that, right? Unless you started doing, you start diving into some research like how he did. He started diving into his family records. And look, and it says that he found out that his great-great-grandfather acquired land in the mid-1800s in the areas of Florida inhabited by Seminole Indians. You know how they tried to say Seminole. Should we go there? They tried to say Seminole was a term that means slaves, and it came from the Spanish. Should we go there real quick? Let me see something real quick. Hold on. I'm gonna show y'all something. They said it meant slave, right? Hello? Where say that at?
Set it on fire.
Where say that at?
Fire.
Huh? Dane, it was Portuguese. It was Portuguese? Really? This the English. This Portuguese. Where say that at? Because if Seminole actually meant slave, it would have been in a dictionary, right? Alright, let's continue. Alright, so he said down here, let me zoom in for y'all. "I find it hard to believe that whites would sell hundreds of acres of land to blacks in the South during slavery." This is a quote. "The more I started digging, I found out this particular ancestor also had brothers, each owning hundreds of acres of land. What have I been telling you all all of this time, we're gonna walk this real slow. Let's say this again. I found it hard to believe that whites would sell hundreds of acres of land to blacks in the South during slavery. All of the South. Listen, the more I started digging, I found out this particular ancestor also had brothers, each owning hundreds of acres of land. This story right here is going to be very similar to those of you that are watching live. I'm talking about your family members and those of you that are watching this later. This is when I started coming across terms I was not familiar with, describing my ancestors as mulatto. Uh-oh. What did I tell you about that? We actually, did I go over this the last live stream? I think so, right? Didn't we go over this again? No, it had to been the last, it was recent. I ran over this again. That term mulatto and when it came about. That was, no, you know what? It was a video. I put out a video. It wasn't a live stream. But mulatto, brand new. And linking them to tribes such as Yamasee, Catawba, and Creek. Terms I've never even heard of. Listen, we're gonna take this slow. The Dawes Act of 1887. Remember I told y'all about April Fool's Day? 1888. The Dawes Act of 1887 gave each tribal family head 160 acres of land. Ooh, that's a lot of land. Gave each tribal family head 160 acres of land and each single person 80 acres. Damn! That's a lot of land. The Dawes Act of 1887 gave each tribal family head 160 acres of land and each single person 80 acres. Where's all that land now? That's not even the size of these so-called, listen y'all, that's not even the size of these so-called reservations today. It doesn't equate. The government will hold the land in title. Uh-oh, I'm going too fast. The government will hold the land title in a trust for 25 years, after which each individual will receive United States citizenship, and a fee simple land title. Under this law, black tribal members, known as freedmen, were granted approximately 2 million acres of land. Okay, hold on. That's why I'm trying to do it slow. Listen to this closely. The government will hold the land title in a trust for 25 years. So in other words, the government got control of that for 25 years. Now, don't get me wrong. That's a long time, but then again, it's not. 25 years is one generation. Okay, moving on. After which each individual would receive United States citizenship. Okay, now we went over citizenship, right? 1790. But wait a minute, that was only for the whites. So when did we become citizens? Remember, we had that conversation. I put out videos. You all thought, before I put out that video, that we became citizens by way of the birth certificate, right? Birth certificate, social security number. Some of y'all may say it like that, right? Wait a minute, but birth certificate came when? We got a problem, ladies and gentlemen. They did this fraudulently. The United States citizenship and a fee simple land title. Wait a minute. So are you trying to set it up where not only do we got to become registered voters, because technically that's what a citizen is, registered through the government as a voter, and you got to pay a simple fee, not fee simple, simple fee. Listen, to land that was technically supposed to be yours, but now titled as federal government lands, and then hand it to you? And the only way you're gonna get that is, again, if you become a registered, if you become a registered voter, that's a US citizen. Don't forget, that's what happened to us. They try to size it up saying, oh, you're gonna become first-class citizens. Under this law, black tribal members known as freedmen, look, now they handing them another name. Handing them a whole nother name. Trying to separate them. See, the more you give people name after name after name, you separate them. So that brings down the number, the original number. So this doesn't have to go to everybody, when technically it was supposed to go to everybody. Keep that in mind. This is the reason why misclassification happened and reclassification happened. Keep reclassifying you so they won't have to give you nothing. Keep in mind, we know this is up to date as far as today is concerned when they saying black tribal members. There was no such thing as black. There was no such thing as freedmen. Not in 1887, but handed who? Approximately 2 million acres of, do you know how much land that is? In Oklahoma's Creek Nation, about a third of the land was black owned. I'm walking this super slow because this is freaking critical. And this is why you should say F them reparations, because there's land that is owed to you. How many times I gotta say this? But you're gonna see it now. No matter how much there are people out there that don't want this truth to come out. Let me just
set it on
real
fire.
Quick.
Fire.
So
fire.
In Oklahoma, I'm gonna sip this coffee. In Oklahoma's Creek Nation, and wasn't that the same? Remember I just showed y'all that was that same Creek Nation where the freedmen just won something? What they win, y'all? Y'all remember? They didn't win that land back. What they win? So not only did they take your land, they took your citizenship. They got their citizenship back. But keep in mind, citizenship doesn't mean that you're a member. Citizenship means that you're a voter. Let it sink in. So besides the citizenship part, on top of that, they took the land. In Oklahoma's Creek Nation, about a third of the land was black owned. Tell me how much Oklahoma's Creek Nation, tell me how much land that is. Don't get me started. And about a third of that was black owned. What happened? If it was black owned, what happened? Right after that, while the Emancipation Proclamation was signed by President Abraham Lincoln in 1863, slavery in the continental United States did not fully end as a legal institution until June 14th, 1866. Wait a minute, when the Creek tribe agreed to abandon enslavement of African Americans. That was the day after Congress approved the 14th Amendment. Wait a minute. The Emancipation Proclamation was signed by President Abraham Lincoln in 1863. Look how they shifting the blame. This is what they're doing. They don't want to put it on the government. They want to put it on other governments. Because notice they said Creek tribe when it was Creek Nation. Hold up. Creek Nation. Creek tribe. Look. Slavery in continental United States is not did not fully end as a legal institution until June 14th, 1866. They doing this on purpose. When the Creek tribe agreed to abandon enslavement of African Americans. According to what? That was the day after Congress approved the 14th Amendment. Because the Creek tribe can't act as a nation as a tribe. They can only act as a nation as a nation. Just like the United States, this great nation. See, government, business, business. So why you saying Creek tribe? You trying to hide something? Look at the play on words. You got to be careful. Even with the term black, but look how they doing the Creeks. Creek nation, Creek tribe, all within this one article. That's a part of controlling the narrative to shift the blame from the government to another government again. No, it wasn't our fault. They did it. They enslaved them African Americans. They did that. They did that on purpose. Recent efforts to recognize historical injustices against Native Americans have, right after that. Notice how they ain't saying black natives right here. They just gonna say Native Americans. Right after that. Wow, look how they doing this. Look how they controlling the narrative. Recent efforts to recognize historical injustices against Native Americans have seen progress, such as last month. During Native American Heritage Month, Governor Galvin Newsom, that's California governor, issued a proclamation celebrating the unveiling of a monument. So wait a minute. Stop. To recognize historical injustices, the governor issued a proclamation to only celebrate the unveiling of a monument. Listen, y'all, they don't care. Dedicated to California Native peoples at the state capitol. Listen. I apologize. Look, y'all, why would you be celebrating historical injustices? Look. Recent efforts to recognize historical injustices. Governor Newsom issued a proclamation celebrating a monument. Are you listening? Then, while this progress is appreciated, many black Native Americans, right after that, now they got to put the black. Keep in mind, separating the group, more separation causes the numbers to go down. Black Native Americans feel that the history of their black freedmen ancestors, wait a minute, which one is it? Black Native Americans, black freedmen ancestors, which one? You saying so many different people, remains largely overlooked. We have to tell the whole, we have to tell the whole of the story. Said Cherokee Nation, not tribe, nation, principal, chief, Chuck Hoskins, Chuck Hoskins Jr. I wonder if they will pull up a picture of this person. Wait a minute. Stop. No. This is the principal chief. And you can't tell me that he don't look like he know karate. And he about to come after John Wick the best way that he can with his army of foot soldiers. And he got on a metal helmet and they nicknamed him the Shredder.
But you may call me the Shredder.
A kitchen utensil?
That is him. I told you, my sons, that is a Rokosaki.
You telling me that he is the principal chief of this army? Okay. How did he become the principal chief? He became an American citizen. But what does that entail? Not only is he able to have voting rights because he is considered white by the US Census, but he also has that same power because he was enlisted as a citizen of this other government. called the Cherokee Nation. Right after that, the Cherokee Nation has committed to including the descendants of Cherokee free. I'm gonna set this. Look, it's right in front of you. It's right in front of you. You can't see him? That's a Rokusaki right there. You can see him, right? Okay. He quoted, "We have to acknowledge that we enslaved African Americans under our own law. If we ignore or suppress that, we do to freedmen and their descendants the same things that have been done to Cherokee people." Think about this though. Wait a minute. Did we see a bunch of these folks enslaved in America? Look how they tried to make you less than. They replaced you. You trying to tell me that his people were enslaved in America? That's what you trying to tell me? So Orokusaki, his people, was enslaved in America. Somebody show me the evidence. I want to see pictures of his people. Chains, shackles, coming off of so-called slave boats. Show me. Show me. I dare you. I dare you. Nah, that's what he said. He said we have to acknowledge that we enslaved African Americans under our own law. What law was that? If we ignore or suppress that, we do to freedmen and their descendants the same things that have been done to Cherokee people. A nation is a stronger nation if they tell their whole story, the tragedy, the triumph, and the chapters that are dark and difficult. Now tell me this. Explain to me why now you gotta tell the story. 2023, 2024, 2025. Why now? Why you ain't say it back then in the 60s was everybody was pushing towards gaining some type of civil rights. Oh, we black this, blackity black that, and we African, all that. Why you ain't do it back then? Because they needed more time to make up the story. All this tribe enslaved people stuff, where's the evidence of that? Besides people running their mouth, how were these so-called tribes ever in position at that time to enslave people when they weren't nations at that time? They only became nations as of recent, meaning that they only became governments as of recent. Tribes are supposed to be families. So when these tribes were federally recognized, did the federal government tell them to enslave people? Because why, think about that. Why would it make sense for people like the Cherokee or anybody else to turn around after suffering from enslavement to say, you know what, monkey see, monkey do. We gonna do the same thing. They did it to us. Let's do it to some other people that have nothing to do with it. Or did they have all to do with it? Because with the story that they're hiding, remember they said that they gotta tell the whole story. The whole story that needs to be told is that the people that they want to claim as freedmen or enslaved were the real people, the real bloodline. They want to say black native, black American. We were the real authentic people of these families. You can't tell me that Orokusaki and his people somehow managed to make their way over here and were enslaved simultaneously. I'm gonna tell you right now, because we could look at it right now. The same thing that happened in history in the past is happening right now when it comes to these foreigners. The foreigners are still to this very day getting aid in every which way you name it. Federal aid, government aid, health aid, you name it. This is still, they are begging more foreigners. The borders is open. They are begging more foreigners to come up in here and they handing them everything. That's exactly what happened back then. It ain't no different. The saying goes that the apple don't fall too far away from the tree. That means that it ain't gonna be too much different than how it was originally. And I mean that to the fullest extent, not partially. His folks ain't suffer no enslavement in America. Nowhere. Ain't no history of that. None. When our brothers and sisters are getting locked up left and right and thrown in jail, we barely see Africans in there, right? Tell me, did you ever see Orokusakis inside of the jail? You be seeing a handful of whites. The majority of them are indigenous to this land. I'm talking about the Niji, who are locked up. You see 2 or 3 Africans, and when you do see Africans, guess what? They not locked up. They the COs. They sending that money back to their folks. Right? Talk to me. You see a few Orokusakis as like some supervisors. That's about it. They not locked up. Talk to me. And that's slavery right there. Again, the apple don't fall too far away from the tree. Now, of course, everybody will be considered slaves still to this day because everybody is working. What is a slave? A laborer, a worker. Let's be real, it's employment. So if you so-called enslaved African Americans, then what jobs did they have to do on your little ass reservation that's less than 160 acres of... Stop playing. This is why I said I dare you to put me on anybody's show and have these type of conversations. I dare you. Because I break it down to the most simplest way possible. Because number one, truth will always overcome those people or those or whatever, that bull crap, the bad sociology that they put out there to try to pretend like it's a fact when it doesn't add up. You literally switch the names so people can't trace it back to find out that they are the original people. You right now see a lot of people coming after all of us because we are claiming our American Indian heritage. Not Native American, American Indian. American Indian is who they were referring to when it came to when they said Continental Congress up here, Continental Congress, Continental United States. They're referring to American Indian. And I said, you use that term because that was the term that was being utilized then for our people. It was no black, okay? It was no African American. It was no Negro. Listen, it was no Negro, no black, no African American. Colored came soon after. The Indians were switched to coloreds. The coloreds was representing us as well. Again, we showcased to you inside of the documentary that we just, it just got released today. Mother Rosa, we were showing you inside of that as well that there was no place that said whites only, Negroes only. That didn't exist. Whites only, blacks only. It was only whites only, coloreds only. It's a reason for that. And then when you turn around and let them keep calling us black tribal members, freedmen, a third of the land was black owned, you are moving your history out of the way and allowing them to come in, what he say, with the whole story. Where he at? Right here. And notice how when he said a nation is a stronger nation if they tell their whole story. But at first you was owning it up to it like it was you. We have to acknowledge that we enslaved African Americans under our own law. But it was so bad that you got to say any nation is a stronger nation if they tell their whole story. Why don't you say our? Any nation is a stronger nation if we tell our whole story. Why are you not trying to use your own tribe as an example? Because it's not yours. Straight up.
Set it on fire.
It's not yours.
Fire. Fire.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, these people do know that. They know that they are under fire because of people like me who are putting this information out constantly and bringing it to your attention. That you are the indigenous people of this land. You are the American Indian. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Can't nobody debunk it when that can easily be proven by way of genealogy. You saw those people that they used as an example. They did their genealogy. Can't no goofy, Pan-African tell you about your family. They don't know you. They don't know you. And don't forget that Daniel thought that he was African. And he was getting on his parents. What'd he say? He was getting on his parents. At first, I was offended that my parents didn't want to claim to be African. But then I had this awakening. See, and this is what they don't want. Because they know the more of this is the threat right here, y'all. The more of our people that wake up and claim who they really are, by proving it to themselves to look up this information on their own individual family, we could take this shit back over. We could take this, it ain't gonna be no ifs, ands, or buts about it, y'all. I'm talking about this gonna be, it's up. Like, straight up, you know that. When they find out, I'm talking about everybody. And it's happening. It's not like it's not happening. It's happening. This is the reason why you see articles like this popping out. This is why a growing number of Black Californians are claiming their American Indian lineage. But that need to say more than just California. That need to say every state, everywhere, West Coast, East Coast, Midwest, South, North, everywhere. Because the majority of you are indigenous to this land. Don't let them lie to you and tell me some y'all mix with this and mix with that and without you proving it. Otherwise, we allowing Oroku Saki and them to take our position. A population map commissioned by the Cherokee Nation in 2013 shows that California has the second largest Cherokee population in the country, after Oklahoma, where many displaced American Indians settled after the Trail of Tears. Now, that's pretty deep, because before they settled to California, where did they come from? According to the story, some of y'all may not believe in the Trail of Tears, but listen, according to their own story, people were leaving from what part of this land to go west of the Mississippi River? It's real easy, because if you think about it, if they said those people were forced to go to lands west of the Mississippi, then it's only one way, the opposite way, which would be the east. It also included the south as well. So again, a lot of those people in California, shout out to those people that's in California, came from the south and the east, came from southeast. They knew they were guilty. So the first line said in 2021, we was on fire in 2021. Look at what they did. The Cherokee Nation Supreme Court removed the phrase "by blood" from its constitution. Look, y'all. Look.
Set it on fire.
Look.
Fire. Fire. Fire.
Look, that's recent, 2021. They were guilty. They knew they were not by blood. They knew it because the majority, including my people, says by blood. Says full-blooded. And the Cherokee Nation Supreme Court, that don't sound like a goddamn family. And it's not a Cherokee Nation Supreme Court. What it sound like? That's a government. 2021, the Cherokee Nation Supreme Court removed the phrase by blood from its constitution. Now you know for a fact that has been infiltrated. That change acknowledges that the descendants, listen, look how they trying to give an excuse. They lying right here. That change acknowledges that the descendants of black people once enslaved by the tribe, the Cherokee freedmen, have the right to citizenship, which means they are eligible to run for tribal Hold up, what'd I say? Didn't I say citizenship means you're a voter? But hold up, let's keep going. Have the right to citizenship, which means that they are eligible to run for tribal office and to access other resources. But wait a minute, but that's not why they removed, that ain't got nothing to do with by blood. They removed the phrase by blood from its constitution. That doesn't acknowledge, oh, wait a minute, they told on themselves. That change acknowledges that the descendants of black people once enslaved by the tribes, the Cherokee freedmen, instead of saying have the right to citizenship, are the real Cherokee. And they have the right to citizenship means that they have the right to vote. Listen, look at it. Look at it in its full context. The University of California began waiving tuitions and fees for Californians who are members of federally recognized Native American tribes. All this time? Okay. However, debates, let me pull up on my side. However, debates about who is and who is not American Indian, continues with some darker-skinned indigenous people facing challenges in claiming their Native American ancestry. The problem is that it wasn't ever Native American ancestry. It was American Indian. Keep in mind, Native American is not the same as American Indian, and I would debate anybody on that topic. Not all Native Americans had lighter skin, as often shown in Hollywood movies. Listen, why don't you just say, instead of saying lighter, just say pale. Just say it. Fair. That was another one, fair skin. Like Rosa Parks. Shameless plug, make sure you get the documentary. It's on the website, DaneMakeYouThink.com. I'm just saying. So they're admitting that American Indians do not look like what they're being depicted as in Hollywood films. It says there are even historical renderings of phenotypically black, stop this black part. But anyway, black Indians drawn by professional artists in the early 1800s. So now you know. So now you know. And that's thanks to me and everybody else that been putting out this content for years now. Oh, and there's more coming. For people without a record of acceptance into what are considered the 5 civilized tribes, Cherokee, Choctaw, Creek, Seminole, and Chickasaw Indians may have been denied citizenship. In other words, you're not denied tribal membership, you're being denied the right to vote within that nation. You gotta understand that. They're gonna be like, nah, you are an original. We not trying to have you up in here because you're gonna cause confusion. If we give y'all the right to vote, y'all gonna be up in here trying to knock all the rest of these foreigners out. That's what's going on. It says, for example, the 3-time great-grandmother of Kiori Jordan Monkering 46 of Santa Jose, who was known as Indian Julia, was denied acceptance into the Choctaw Nation based on her appearance. Okay. Quote, she is visibly Negro. The space reserved for, quote, office use, end quote, on her application form noted. Uh-oh. See? They putting on a Nah, don't accept them. This a Negro. Don't do it. This a color. Don't do it. This a black. Don't do it, because they know better. They scared. Because the more of our people that come up in there, we're going to kick them out because they know they're not supposed to be there. If they knew that they were legit, this wouldn't have been happening. Hands down. That's what it says. So don't you know how at the bottom of the application they say for office use? They say, nah, she is visibly Negro. What, huh? Nah, don't bring her. She got to be pale or something. She got to be fair skinned. Nah, she don't even look like she Mexican. Nah, she don't even look like she Asian. Nah, man, her grandfather not a Rokusaki. I'ma keep this up. Nah, kick her out. Matter of fact, don't accept her. Because if you accept her, we gotta accept 10,000 more, then 100,000 more, then 1 million more of those Negroes. All right, so far, the Choctaw Nation has consistently refused to recognize freedmen as citizens, and I just told you why. Don't mistake citizens for membership. When you hear citizens, think voters. Same thing with American citizens. I showed you that, proved it to you. Numerous occasions. Only the Cherokee Nation and the Seminole Tribe of Florida recognize freedmen. Come on, Brian. So, we already had the ball rolling, but this is just another indicator to let y'all know that the ball, not only is it rolling, but we setting up to take the 3-point shot. And I need y'all to pay attention to your individual family's ancestry, your individual family's genealogy, because that is the key. Once you know for sure, by way of paperwork, who your family members are, I'm talking about prior to you wanting to become a citizen or voter of these 5 civilized tribes, you need to know it. Because again, each and every person that looked up not only their family members having American Indian heritage, but they also owned acres and 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 acres of land. That is important, because once we retrieve our lands back, these foreigners won't have any land to live on unless they ask us for permission. That's another reason why we will be considered a threat.
I'm just here to make you think.
Slow down. Yeah. Sub up like